Okay, I think we can fit the rest of this review in this one video, but let's go. So the angle of elevation from a boat, B, to the hovering helicopter, H, is 49 degrees. There's my angle of elevation. The horizontal distance, remember the horizon, if you go out to the beach, is flat. So that's what helps us understand that this is 60, not this. Okay? A lot of students have a problem with that. So if this is my reference angle, this is my opposite side, this is my adjacent. That's a classic tangent moment. So tangent of 49 degrees is opposite over adjacent. So we got to look up tangent of 49 degrees. And then we got to multiply both sides by 60. And that'll give me 69.02. Let's just call it 69 and look for that. And aha, it says approximate. So we got to go with letter D. All right, so number 16, angle C is 90, A is 11, B is 14. I got it all drawn here. It says find the approximate measure of angle A. So it's saying make A your focal point. But notice this is a 90-degree angle, which allows me to use so, ka, toa, if I can. So if this is my angle I'm focused on, this would be my opposite side, this would be my adjacent side, and I could go, aha, I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of angle A is equal to 11 over 14. I'm going to convert that to a decimal. So 11 divided by 14 is 0.785. And now I'm going to go second tangent. So second tangent, 0.785, and I get 38.13. Go on the hunt for that. Look at that. Letter B. Looks like a winner, winner. So you can see this section is really testing your trig. So I've got this information drawn in this triangle. It's saying find the approximate length of side C, which is my hypotenuse. Well, I'm going to use this as my reference angle and say there's my opposite side and there's my hypotenuse. So I'm going to go sine of angle A, which is 40 degrees, equals opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of 40 degrees is 0.64. So this is 0.64. But I got to multiply this side by C and multiply this side by C. So it turns out to be 0.64 C equals 3. So I'm going to divide by 0.64. 0.64, 3 divided by 0.64. 4.7 we'll call it. And it looks like it's letter D. So this problem is very similar to this, but notice they're asking for side B. And if we make this our reference angle, that we know that this is our hypotenuse, and we know this is our side adjacent. So we say, aha, we're going to use cosine. So we're going to go cosine of 40 degrees equals adjacent, side B, over the hypotenuse, 18. So we got to look that up. Cosine of 40 degrees, 0.7, I'll call it 0.77. And then we're going to multiply this by 18 and this by 18. And that will tell us what B is. So times 18, 13.78, we'll call it 13.8. And there it is, letter B. Okay, number 13, you could definitely cheat. On an exam, I can't, this is my opinion personally. You were taught not to use a calculator when doing these. So and let me demonstrate what I mean. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is telling us, and remember the hypotenuse is always positive, so the 2 stays there. The negative goes with the square root of 3. We can clearly see that we're dealing with a 30, 60, 90, and you're supposed to draw where this can happen. Now, all students take calc. Where can cosine be negative? Not here and not here. So we're looking for an answer in the second or third quadrant. Now, truthfully, there should be 2 answers over here, but it's an exam, so they just want you to find one of them. So I'm going to start by drawing over here where my opposite, I drew that wrong because I want this to be, you'll see in a minute, more like this, where my adjacent side is a negative square root of 3. This is 1 and this is 2. And see, that's a 30, 60, 90. Here's my 30, here's my 60, here's my 90. How far did I spin my spinner? That's 150. Notice it's in radians, but if I look for 150 in here, it's right here, because this is 5 times pi over 6. What's pi over 6? Same thing as 30. So there it is. I found one. So I can move on. Now, if they ask me to find 2, I'd have to investigate what happens over here also. But that's not what they're asking. Similarly, you could use a calculator, but that's not really what they want you to know. They want you to know that tangent is opposite over adjacent. And how could this ever equal 1? Well, that means the opposite side would have to equal my adjacent side, and then you go, aha, that only happens in a special 45, 45, 90. But the question is where? Well, all students take calc. Everything's positive, tangent's positive. So we can't consider those. So we would just consider a 45, 45, 90 here, where this is x and this is x, which would definitely be 1. And we'd say, aha, 45, there it is. So number 12 is C. So number 11, because it's multiple choice, helps the graphing unit a little bit. We got to remember some things, though. See all of our options? It's talking about sine of x. And what you got to know about the regular sine of x curve is the amplitude equals 1, and the period is 2 pi. These are things you should just kind of have tucked away, memorized. Notice the amplitude is 1, which means any of these that has, oh, and also we know that sine goes through the origin, if you recall that. Cosine goes up and over the origin. Anyways, amplitude is 1, and it has not been flipped. So I see that negative, that would flip it, and it would be like this. So I can eliminate that. There's another negative. I can eliminate that. There is a 1 here and a 1 here and a 1 here, so these are all in play. Letter A, I see it's asking, hey, do you think this has been moved up 2? No, because that goes right through the origin. If that was up 2 units and we had the same thing up here, I'd pick this one, but that's out. So now we're down to this or this. The period clearly is 1, or excuse me, the amplitude is 1. The period needs to be 2 pi on a normal one. This is going to mess things up. Now remember, the period formula is 2 pi all over the absolute value of b, which I'm just going to put like this. That's not 161. It's the absolute value of b, so it'd be 2 pi. And let's go ahead and put this in, because that's our b. And that'd be pi. Now notice, from here to here, it goes through 1 period. So it takes pi for this curve to go through 1 period, and that's what we're looking for. So this one would be my correct answer. Now what about this one? Well, there's an invisible 1 there, and so that would be 2 pi, and my b would be 1/2. Remember, if you divide by a fraction, you actually multiply by this thing's reciprocal, and this would be 4 pi. And you can see that's not the period of this graph, because it's pi. That's why this one doesn't work. That's why this does. All right, you gotta love these multiple choice questions. Describe the transformations required to obtain the graph of this function. I'm going to start right here. Plus pi over 3 definitely means left pi over 3. So I'm going to look for anything that doesn't say that. So see, it says right pi over 3. Right pi. Right 3 pi. Look at this. Left pi over 3. And this says left pi. I could circle letter D and be done. However, I want to focus on this, because that's my vertical stretch or vertical shrink. And this would be a vertical stretch because it's getting bigger. It's getting doubled. So you see how it's accompanied with that? That's why letter D is the correct answer. Let's move on to this one. Same thing, kind of process of elimination. Well, the first thing we're going to look at is this. The amplitude is the first thing that should jump out at you. It's 4. So I could cross this one out, I could cross this one out, and I can cross this one out. So really it's determining the period. Is it pi or is it 4 pi? Well, so this is just extra information. The negative is just extra information that you don't have to really worry about, because the period formula is 2 pi all over the absolute value of b, which is just 2. And so 2 pi over 2 would just be pi, and I'd go, aha, that'd be letter A and not letter D. So that's how you kind of have to go at these. Just look for clues, eliminate options, and then continue looking for some clues that help you in the process. All right, so number 8. This is the window. Always start there. In other words, don't look in here or here or here. Concentrate on the second quadrant. That's what this clue is saying. Now I'm going to try to draw the picture. My opposite side is square root of 3. My hypotenuse is 2. So I'm going to try to draw it with a little bit of accuracy. That would mean this is -1, which is telling me this reference angle right here is 60. Now what does the problem want? Wants all of that. So it's 120 degrees. Now you're going to have to convert that or just look for whatever equals 120, and I'm seeing it right here. Because pi over 3 is 60, 2 times 60 is 120. Letter A it is. Okay, so 7 is just saying, hey, go for it, evaluate this. Well, first of all, you have to know that that is pi over 2 is 90, 90 times 3 is 270, so it's the same thing as -270. Now, you could type this in your calculator. Hope your conscience screams at you a little bit. But you have to spin your spinner, -270. So we really stop right shy of it. And the first thing we should say is, hey, my adjacent side has disappeared. Now, what is cosine? It's adjacent over hypotenuse. Well, if my adjacent side is 0, 0 over any number is definitely 0. So that'd be letter C. All right, number 6. So this is just straight up saying evaluate. Well, pi over 6, remember, is 30 degrees. We got to multiply that by 11, which would give me 330 degrees. So with some accuracy, I got to draw this, which is 30 degrees short. I'm going to build my triangle. So there's -1, there's 2, there's the square root of 3, but it's asking me to find sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, so that'd be -1/2, which is letter D. More of the same. Spin your spinner, 300. So we go all the way to 270 plus 30. Stop with some accuracy. It's going to help, meaning my reference angle is 60. If I complete my triangle that way, here's my negative square root of 3. This is my 30, so that's 1. This is 2. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, so that'd be negative square root of 3 over 1, which is just letter D. Okay, so this is saying find cosine where the spinner spins and the terminal side, I don't like passes through, stops at 8, -15. So I've already got the drawing drawn. So here's my spinner, here's the point, 8, -15, find cosine. Well, 8, 15, 17 is your family. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that'd be 8/17, letter A. So this problem, let theta be an acute angle in a right triangle where cosine is 4/5. So I've got the drawing here. So if my theta from right here is right here, that means my adjacent side needs to be 4, my hypotenuse needs to be 5, and this is screaming out 3, 4, 5. And now it's saying tangent, which is opposite over adjacent, which would be 3 over 4, which is B. All right, so this says find the central angle. Remember, we got this formula if we want to deal with radians, this formula if we want to deal with degrees. Because this one is smaller, I'm going to start with it and just hope for the best. So S is arc length, 50. R is radius, 21. If I divide by 21, divide by 21, as you can see, I get 2.38, and that's radians, which is letter C. Okay, the last problem. I just substitute 180 for pi. Get this. Reduce 9 times 11 is 99. Letter C. Congratulations.